On a dark September 9th in 2009, 24-year-old Mitrice Richardson walked out of the Lost Hills Sheriff's Station alone. No phone, no wallet, no car, no way home. Hours later, she was seen wandering through a backyard in a small canyon community. And then, nothing. For 11 months, her family searched, begged for answers, and confronted silence. Until hikers made a discovery deep inside one of the most isolated ravines in Malibu Canyon. The more you learn about this case, the harder it becomes to understand how a college student with a loving family, a full social life, and dreams of her future could vanish directly after being in police custody. This is the story of Mitrice Richardson, her life, the hours leading up to her arrest, the controversial decision by law enforcement, the failed search, the discovery of her remains, and the questions that still haunt everyone who has looked into the case. Before the headlines, before the press conferences, there was simply Mitrice, a young Black woman navigating adulthood with ambition and compassion. Born on April 30th, 1985, she grew up primarily with her mother, Lettice Sutton, who worked in education. Her father, Michael Richardson, remained a strong presence and would later become one of the loudest voices demanding answers about her disappearance. Mitrice attended Chelsea Middle School and South Hills High School in West Covina. Friends described her as magnetic, the kind of person who made you feel seen. She danced, wrote poetry, modeled, and made friends effortlessly. She earned her psychology degree from Cal State Fullerton, where professors called her articulate, curious, and empathetic. She interned at a psychiatry facility, worked with children, and planned to pursue graduate school. She was also openly queer and comfortable expressing who she was, performing at clubs in Long Beach, writing about identity in her journal, and building a life surrounded by friends who adored her. But beneath that brightness, something was beginning to shift. During the summer of 2009, family and friends noticed subtle but troubling changes. She spoke faster. Her thoughts looped in ways that didn't sound like her. She posted metaphorical, cryptic messages online, unlike her usual voice. On MySpace, she wrote, "I feel like energy is shifting. My job is done." She talked about symbolism, missions, the universe sending messages. A friend later said, it was like she was thinking 10 thoughts at once. Her mother grew concerned, but there were no threats, no violence, no history of self-harm. The line between spiritual language, early mania, and exhaustion can be nearly impossible to see clearly in real time. Then came another detail. She hadn't been sleeping, days at a time, and lack of sleep can push early-stage mania into full crisis. On September 16, 2009, Mitrice left her home in South Los Angeles and drove more than 40 miles to Malibu. She told no one. She had no plans, and she'd never gone alone before. To this day, no one knows why she went. Maybe she wanted to see the ocean. Maybe she was chasing a feeling. Maybe her mind was spinning faster than she could explain. Her drive ended at Geoffrey's, an upscale oceanfront restaurant, and the starting point of the disappearance that would change everything. According to employees, Mitrice arrived a little after 8 p.m. She parked incorrectly, almost diagonally. A valet approached and immediately sensed something was off. He later described her as poetic, warm, but disconnected from the flow of conversation. Inside the restaurant, she joined a table of strangers, uninvited, though still polite. They remember her as friendly but unusual. She said things that didn't quite fit, like, "I'm here to avenge Michael Jackson's death. I'm from Mars," and a comment about a family member being possessed, though it felt more symbolic than literal. Despite the comments, she wasn't disruptive or dangerous. She ordered a Kobe steak and cocktail. When the check came, she told the server she couldn't pay and that her friends were coming. But there were no friends on the way. The manager called the sheriff's department.
Hi, I'm calling from Geoffrey's restaurant in Malibu. We have a guest here who is refusing to pay her bill, and we think she sounds really crazy. She may be on drugs or something. We are wondering if someone can come by and pick her up.
They also called her great-grandmother, whose number was found in the car. She offered to pay the bill over the phone. Geoffrey's declined, and deputies arrested Mitrice rather than helping her get home. Deputies searched her car and found a small amount of marijuana, legally minor but still chargeable in 2009. Combined with the unpaid restaurant bill, they decided to take her to the Lost Hills station, about 11 miles inland. She arrived around 9:50 p.m. Booking records show deputies collecting everything: her phone, wallet, ID, cash, cards, car keys. Inside her diary, they found emotional, spiritual entries, signs she may have been experiencing a mental health crisis. Then came the most important moment in the timeline. Around 11 p.m., her mother, Mitrice, called the station. The call is recorded.
I am calling. I'm a little frazzled right now. I understand my daughter is being brought into the station. Mitrice Richardson. Have they made it to the station yet? And she's been booked.
Mitrice said clearly, "Please don't release my daughter after midnight."
I mean, she's not from that area, and I would hate to wake up to a morning report. Girl, lost somewhere.
She doesn't know the area. She has no way home. I don't want her on the street alone. A deputy told her, "We don't release people this late. She'll be safe. Call back in the morning." But less than 90 minutes later, at 12:28 a.m., they released Mitrice into the dark. The Lost Hills Sheriff's Station sits at the edge of the Santa Monica Mountains. Steep canyons, wildlife, no sidewalks, no stores, no buses, no streetlights. Deputies had options. They could have held her for observation, called her mother back, helped her arrange a ride, let her wait in the lobby, allowed her to stay voluntarily in a cell, and driven her to a safe location. They did none of those. They opened the door, she stepped out, alone. The next 6 hours were the most mysterious part of the case. Security cameras outside the station captured Mitrice walking into near total darkness. For years, deputies told the family this footage didn't exist. Then, in 2015, 6 years later, the video suddenly resurfaced. It shows Mitrice stepping out calmly, hands folded behind her back, pacing slightly, then walking out of frame. Whether it was lost or withheld is still debatable, but this footage remains the last confirmed sighting of her alive. Shortly after her release, deputies claim Mitrice said that she would wait for friends, though none existed. There was also a rumor, long circulated by a local resident, that a deputy mentioned seeing her get into a white vehicle. The sheriff's department later denied this. To this day, there's no confirmed evidence she entered a car. What we do know, she began walking east, up toward a rural canyon community. At 6:30 a.m., 6 hours after her release, a Monte Nido homeowner named Bill Smith called 911.
Hi, hey, this is Smith at Cold Canyon. We had a prowler walking around through the backyard here, but we don't know what the situation was. I don't know if you had a unit in the area, might do a little drive-by or something. We just had a strange woman walking through the backyard here. This fairly large property, and she was sitting on the steps right on the back of the house here. This is kind of a circular driveway, and the gates were closed, so we don't know where this woman came from.
A woman matching Mitrice's description was in his backyard. She sat on steps, stared into the distance, then walked toward a hill behind his house. He told the dispatcher, "There's a girl out there. She looks kind of spaced out. She's asking if I live here." He wasn't afraid, just concerned. The distance between the station and his home is about 1.5 miles, over steep terrain with no lights, no paths, and plenty of wildlife. Deputies didn't respond urgently. By the time they canvassed the area, she was gone. These 2 days contained some of the most consequential decisions in the entire case. After the 911 call, Mitrice contacted the station again, terrified. She was told, "She's an adult. She's probably off with friends." Another deputy suggested she could be in Las Vegas, despite having no money, ID, or transportation. Because policies at the time classified missing adults as voluntary without visible signs of danger, deputies did not issue a vulnerable missing alert. Her family begged for a search. The sheriff's department declined. With no meaningful official search underway, Mitrice's family and volunteers stepped in. They hiked through canyons. They knocked on doors. They handed out flyers. They talked to hikers, ranchers, anyone who might have seen something. When deputies eventually conducted a limited search, the area had already been covered by volunteers. Their search was small, uncoordinated, and lacked urgency. One early search group included just 3 deputies. Roughly a week after her disappearance, a cadaver dog named Bosco, certified, experienced, and reliable, alerted in 2 separate canyon locations. His handler said the alerts were strong and unlike false positives. Deputies dismissed them. They theorized the dog may have reacted to animal remains. The handler disagreed. This moment could have changed everything, but the search effort shifted towards easier terrain, not where the dog had alerted. In the weeks and months that followed, tips came in from all directions: Las Vegas, Long Beach, Hollywood clubs, grocery stores, churches, hiking trails. Some were quickly dismissed. Others were never fully investigated. One sighting showed a woman resembling Mitrice at a Las Vegas casino. When investigators reviewed the surveillance footage, her face wasn't clear enough to confirm. Another tip reported a woman sleeping near a dumpster in Long Beach. Deputies never canvassed the area. Her father, Michael Richardson, drove to Las Vegas himself and searched the casino floors day after day. The family believed most of these sightings were misidentifications or pointed to something even darker: the possibility that Mitrice had been abducted or trafficked after leaving the canyon. As months passed, the official investigation slowed. The sheriff's department stepped back. The media moved in, but her family never stopped. Mitrice and Michael organized marches, held press conferences, filed public records requests, demanded internal reviews, and met with elected officials. But answers remained out of reach until nearly a year later. 11 months after Mitrice disappeared, 2 park rangers patrolling a remote part of Dark Canyon, deep inside Malibu Canyon State Park, came across something unimaginable.
High above the Malibu hills today, a lone LA County Sheriff's helicopter. Hard to tell if its mission is related to the Mitrice Richardson case, but it's a good guess. It's here among the scrub brush, dusty canyons, and lonely mountain roads that Richardson's body turned up Monday.
A human skull. Nearby, scattered bones. This area is not accessible to casual hikers. No trails, no signs, no easy entry. The terrain is steep, rocky, and unpredictable. Deputies and coroner officials were called in, but what happened next has become one of the most controversial decisions in the entire case. When investigators examined the scene, they found Mitrice's remains, seated upright, back against a tree, legs extended downhill, completely nude, clothing scattered far from the body, some pieces uphill, some downhill, shoes found separately, bra and shorts tangled together, away from the main skeleton, several bones missing, including foot and hand bones. Her hair extensions were found in clumps around the area. The seated position was unusual for death by natural causes. Decomposition also raised questions. Some experts felt the condition of the remains didn't match the 11 months in the elements. Others argued the canyon's microclimate made the timeline harder to interpret. The official cause of death? Undetermined.
Sheriff Lee Baca says no overt indications of murder, no bullet holes, blunt force trauma.
No clear trauma, no clear evidence of assault, no definitive signs of foul play. But everything about the scene invited questions. And then came the decision that changed the investigation forever. When the coroner's team arrived, they expected to carefully photograph, document, and recover the remains. Standard procedure for an outdoor death scene. Instead, deputies told them to stop. Daylight was running out, and the deputies wanted to airlift the remains out before sunset. This violated protocol. The coroner's team objected, saying the site needed proper processing. Deputies overruled them. The remains were collected quickly, with dirt and plant material mixed in, and transported without full cataloging. Certain bones, including foot bones, were never recovered. The next day, the coroner's office filed an official complaint against the sheriff's department, stating the scene had been compromised. This was the final blow to any hope of a definitive forensic answer.
The sheriffs scooped up my daughter's remains, put them in a plastic bag, put them on a helicopter, and left. Against the county coroner's directive of saying, don't touch nothing, don't move nothing until we get there.
Several forensic experts and retired detectives have questioned whether Mitrice's remains were placed in that position post-mortem. Their reasons? 1. Clothing was scattered unusually far from the body. 2. The seated, upright position was atypical for outdoor natural death. 3. Missing bones didn't match typical animal scavenging. 4. The location was deep and rugged terrain, difficult to reach even for an experienced hiker.
Sheriff's officials say the foliage where the body was found was so thick you needed a machete to cut through it, and it was a couple of miles off the beaten path.
5. Cadaver dogs had alerted months earlier in nearby locations. Some believe she wandered into the canyon alone and collapsed. Others believe she encountered someone who harmed her, intentionally or not. And some believed her body was moved.
Does it seem to you like she may have been the victim of foul play, even though they haven't found any evidence of that so far?
Well, in my mind, I would start with that.
She carried herself down a ravine, lay down and died? That doesn't make any sense.
Because the scene was compromised, none of these theories can be proven or ruled out. When the news reached her family, the grief was overwhelming. Lettice said, "Had they kept her that night or called me, my daughter would be alive." Michael believed there was enough evidence to suggest foul play, or at least negligence.
At KJLH Radio this morning, Richardson's father called for lie detector tests for all deputies involved.
It would be nice if everybody on duty in that sheriff's station would take it.
His contention is that the department is covering up certain aspects of the case.
The family asked why deputies said no video existed, why she was released without her belongings, why her mother's warning calls were ignored, why searches were delayed, why cadaver dog alerts were dismissed, why evidence was mishandled, why key bones were never recovered. These questions led to lawsuits, protests, and years of advocacy. The Richardson family filed a civil rights and wrongful death lawsuit against Los Angeles County. In 2011, the county reached a settlement: $450,000 to Lettice Sutton, $450,000 to Michael Richardson. The county did not admit wrongdoing, but public pressure grew and internal reviews began. Mitrice's case directly influenced reforms in Los Angeles County. New policies included detainees showing signs of mental illness cannot be released at night without a responsible party. Release plans must be documented. Phone access and transportation assistance must be offered. Mental health evaluations must be more thorough. Security footage must be preserved automatically. These changes have protected countless people, but they came at the cost of one life that should never have been put in danger. 4 main theories have emerged over the years. 1. Death by exposure or accident. She may have become disoriented, wandered into the canyon, removed her clothing as her body temperature changed, and died of exposure. 2. Death by misadventure with animal activity. She may have collapsed and wildlife scattered her remains. 3. Foul play by a stranger. Some believe she encountered someone in the canyon who harmed her. 4. Mistreatment or negligence by officials. Some believe she died shortly after her release, and that her body was later placed in the canyon. No theory can be confirmed. No theory can be dismissed. Mitrice Richardson was more than a case file. She was a daughter, a scholar, a dancer, a friend, a woman with dreams. Her disappearance highlighted the dangers of releasing vulnerable detainees at night, racial disparities in missing persons cases, gaps in mental health crisis response, the consequences of ignoring families, the long-term damage caused by investigative failures. Her story became part of a national conversation long before today's broader movements. Her family continues to advocate, not for closure, but for truth. In the end, the story of Mitrice Richardson is a story of missed opportunities, moments where someone, anyone, could have stepped in and prevented a tragedy. The officers who arrested her saw she was in crisis. Her mother begged them to keep her safe. A homeowner called for help. Searches were delayed. Evidence was mishandled. Answers were lost. 15 years later, this case remains unsolved. Not because the truth is impossible, but because the truth was never given a fair chance to be known. This has been the Ebony Cases from the Icy Bridge Files. The disappearance of Mitrice Richardson. Thank you for remembering with me. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and never forget, every story deserves to be told, and every life deserves to be protected.